All right, so Mr. Kimmel returned as expected, unrepentant, but he wasn't arrogant. He was fairly humble. He didn't apologize for suggesting that conservative Americans who support Donald Trump somehow were responsible for the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which is what got Kimmel in trouble in the first place, that absurd notion, which is irresponsible in the extreme. Okay, that's what got him in trouble. But before that, Mr. Kimmel had carved out an anti-Trump posture that was almost a comedy act all in itself. It wasn't funny, but it was so absurd every single night. Colbert and Kimmel, all right, we got it. You don't like the guy. So anyway, I'm going to run down a few clips. We'll analyze them and we'll get some reaction. And then I will give my personal advice to both President Trump and Jimmy Kimmel, which I'm sure they're all going to write down and do exactly what I suggest. All right, so Kimmel opens it up last night with this. Go.
I want to thank everyone who checked in. It would take all week to list all of them, but some that I do especially want to mention are my fellow late night talk show hosts, my friend Stephen Colbert, who's found himself in this predicament, my friends Jon Stewart, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, John Oliver, Conan O'Brien, James Corden, Arsenio, Kathy, Wanda, Chelsea, even Jay reached out. I heard from late night hosts in other countries, from Ireland and from Germany. The guy in Germany offered me a job. Can you imagine? This country has become so authoritarian. The Germans are like, come here.
All right, it's okay. Not object. And my personal view is I don't want Jimmy Kimmel banished or anything. I don't believe in that cancel stuff. And they tried to do it to me. They only made me stronger, which it's pretty ironic, but it's exactly what happened. Now, as for the controversy himself, Kimmel should have said, look, I'm sorry I said that about the MAGA people. That's what he should have said. But, he's playing to a crew. Always remember that. These people play to a certain audience, not the whole audience, not the whole country. They play to a certain sliver. So here's what Kimmel said about the controversy. Go.
I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight. And the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human. And that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. But I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way.
All right, rational. I mean, that's not what the crux of the matter is. It was inappropriate to inject politics falsely a few days after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Just inappropriate. And the reason that it happened was because Mr. Kimmel is a fanatic. All right, and that's not good. All right, the third one and the last one is about the overall issue of expression. Go.
This show is not important. What is important is that we get to live in a country that allows us to have a show like this. Yeah! I've had the opportunity to meet and spend time with comedians and talk show hosts from countries like Russia, countries in the Middle East, who tell me they would get thrown in prison for making fun of those in power, and worse than being thrown in prison. They know how lucky we are here. Our freedom to speak is what they admire most about this country. And that's something I'm embarrassed to say I took for granted until they pulled my friend Stephen off the air and tried to coerce the affiliates who run our show in the cities that you live in to take my show off the air. That's not legal. That's not American. That is un-American, and it is so dangerous.
All right, no government official tried to coerce the companies to take Kimmel's show off the air. Cold and flu season coming on up. We all know it. And it really is nothing to take lightly. So when people start getting sick all across the country, medications disappear. Everybody wants it at the same time. So it's very, very smart to have a pharmacy you can count on, like All Family Pharmacy. Right now, they're helping Americans get ahead of the curve with 10% off antibiotics, antivirals, other essentials. You know how important it is to have the right meds when you get sick, particularly when your kids get sick. You don't want to be going into the doctor's office, spending all the time. You want to have them at your home. So if you have a few months' supply, you don't have to worry. And that's what we're doing here. If you believe in medical freedom, okay, and taking care of your family, as I do, this is the pharmacy for you. Please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. And I know that because I work for Nexstar. You know that. On News Nation, I appear. I'll be on with Cuomo tonight. That's not what that company did. The company, Nexstar, reacted to its local viewership, which was outraged about what Jim said. They got thousands of complaints. That's why the controversy erupted. This wasn't any conspiracy to silence Colbert and Kimmel. Now, to be fair and honest, President Trump doesn't like those people and would be happy if they disappeared. That is the truth. And my advice to President Trump is don't bother with this. You got three big things to do. I mean, major historical things that President Trump is facing. The Putin-Ukraine nuke situation. That is off the chart dangerous. The Chinese situation, which is the only solution to Putin, and the rising prices of groceries in America. Those are the Jimmy Kimmel doesn't mean anything to this country. Now, I well understand how poorly, unfairly Donald Trump has been treated for the past 10 years. I mean, because I was treated unfairly, but not nearly the way he was treated. And I understand his animus toward Kimmel and Colbert. I got it. But boy, Mr. President, you have so much, and it's so difficult that, you know, they kind of dip down into the Kimmel land. Not worth it. And for Jimmy Kimmel, I think you're pretty funny. I've been on your show 5 times. Stop being a zealot. I know you go to cocktail parties, you all hang out in Hollywood, and you're all the same mindset, but stop being a zealot. That's not what ABC hired you to do, even though they allow you to do it. Okay? You're not looking out for the folks or the public interest when you ban all non-liberal voices on your show, which is what you've done for 3 years. Talk about freedom of expression violations. All 5 of the liberal networks have banned every single non-liberal voice. That's Putin stuff, and I've said it way too much. I said it on the Hannity radio program again today, and I know I'm getting to be boring in saying it over and over, but that is the story. And Jimmy, personally, don't be a zealot. Okay, that's not playing to your strength. You simply don't know as much as it would take to do the analysis you're trying to do. You don't know because you don't try to find out. You live in a bubble. And it's true for Colbert. They never come up against me. In fact, Kimmel is going to be in Brooklyn, I think it's next week, and I had my representative say, look, O'Reilly would be happy to come on and talk about, you know what ratings would be for that? For him, if he did that? Well, what are the odds of him doing that? And I'll, you know, if he does, then I'll give him props. Anyway, the story, I hope, is over. I hope everybody watching me around the world understands the real story here. And let's go forward.